Sophia made thousands in 48 hours. No job change, no loans, no hustle. 2 days earlier, she had nothing. A deadline was closing in. And yet, by hour 48, her bank account was full, from sources she couldn't have predicted. What happened in between? It wasn't luck. It was one short sentence, repeated silently, that flipped her reality completely. You're about to hear exactly what she said and how she said it, but not until you see the strange events that started within hours. Because once you understand that, the words will hit harder, and you'll know how to use them yourself. This is a 48-hour story, and it starts now. The first morning of Sophia's 48-hour countdown started like any other, except for one thing. She had already decided the ending. She didn't know how the money would come. She didn't have a plan. But in her mind, it wasn't up for debate. It was done. And that mental shift was the first crack in the wall between her and the money she needed. Not even an hour into her morning, doubt showed up. The kind of thoughts that whisper, "Be realistic. This won't happen in 2 days." Most people feed that voice. Sophia didn't. She went back to her sentence, short, final, unshakable. The moment she repeated it, her chest loosened, the pressure faded, and she moved on with her day without obsessing over how. That's the thing. She wasn't chasing. She was holding. Big difference. By mid-morning, the first unusual thing happened. A friend she hadn't spoken to in months messaged her out of nowhere. "Hey, are you still doing that thing we talked about last year?" It wasn't an offer. It wasn't money, but it was movement. It was something showing up in her reality that aligned with the version of her who already had money flowing in. Neville Goddard used to say, "Signs follow. They do not precede." Sophia wasn't waiting for signs to believe. She believed, and then signs began to follow. Later that day, Sophia sent a single email she'd been avoiding for weeks. No overthinking. No desperation in the wording. Just one clear message to a contact who owed her money from months ago. 5 minutes of action, and she let it go. This is important. She didn't check her phone every 5 minutes after sending it. She didn't start telling herself stories about how they'd probably ignore it. She acted like it was inevitable they'd respond, because in the reality she was living in, it was already done. That evening, she went for a walk, and the sentence came back again. This time, it felt heavier, fuller, like it had more weight. She wasn't trying to believe it anymore. She was stating it as a fact. Something interesting happens when you repeat the same final statement in a calm, matter-of-fact way. Your brain stops arguing with it. It moves from wishful thinking to "this is just how it is." By the time Sophia got into bed that night, she was calm, not excited, not nervous. Calm. And as she drifted to sleep, she remembered something she'd once read online. Neville Goddard's teaching to end your day in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Without forcing it, that's exactly what she did. She fell asleep inside the version of her life where the money had already come. Day 2. The acceleration. The next morning, Sophia woke up and did something strange. She didn't check her bank account. She didn't check her phone. She went about her morning like someone who already had more than enough. It wasn't until after breakfast that she opened her banking app. And there it was. A payment she hadn't been expecting for another 2 weeks had cleared early. Now, if this had been the old Sophia, she would have seen that as the miracle and stopped there. But she knew this wasn't the end. This was just the start of the chain reaction. Later that morning, she got a call from an old colleague. They had a quick freelance project and needed it done fast. The payment? Immediate. And it was more than she'd usually charge because they offered the rate without her asking. By now, Sophia could feel it. That magnetic pull of events rearranging themselves to match the version of her she'd stepped into 2 days earlier. Here's what I need you to notice. Every time Sophia had even a flicker of doubt, whether it was wondering, what if nothing else comes in? Or, what if this slows down? She went straight back to her sentence. Not with force, not with desperate chanting. Just a calm, final statement. She didn't know it yet, but she was doing exactly what Neville meant when he said, "A change of feeling is a change of destiny." That evening, she got another message, a refund from a subscription she'd canceled months earlier, one she'd already written off. It wasn't huge, but combined with everything else that had come in, she was now well past what she needed. And yet, the 48 hours weren't even over. At this point, Sophia wasn't trying to manifest money anymore. She was the person who had money. She wasn't checking timelines, counting down the hours, or questioning if it would happen. She was living in the result, and reality had no choice but to catch up. With just a few hours left on the clock, she got a voice message from a friend. "Hey, I know it's last minute, but I have this opportunity for you. It pays today. Want it?" She didn't hesitate. She said yes. By the end of that day, her balance was higher than it had been in months, and when I asked her what she thought made the difference, she said, "It was the sentence. The second I chose it, it was already done." By the end of the 48 hours, Sophia's situation looked like a completely different life. Her bank balance had gone from almost nothing to more than she'd had in months. Multiple deposits, different sources, none of them planned. And yet, she swears none of it surprised her, because she'd already seen this ending in her mind before any of it appeared in her account. For 2 days, she carried something with her, not a lucky charm, not a vision board, just a quiet decision she refused to step out of, no matter what the numbers on the screen said. Every time fear tried to creep in, she went back to it. Every time someone reminded her of how bad things looked, she stayed inside it. I asked her, "What exactly was it? What did you tell yourself?" She didn't smile. She didn't hesitate. She just said it. "The money is already mine." At first you might hear that and think, really? That's it? That's the thing that changed everything? But the simplicity is the power. Most people speak from lack. They say things like, "I want more money," not realizing that the moment you say, "want," you've told your mind and the universe that you do not have it. Wanting equals waiting. What Sophia did was cut that signal entirely. There was no hoping, no wishing, no one day. It was done. It was final. It was a declaration, not a request. And that's exactly what Neville Goddard taught. That you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and that assumption, even if it feels false in the moment, will harden into fact. When you say, "The money is already mine," you are not asking for anything. You're stepping into the end. You're living from it now. And the shift that creates in your subconscious is immediate. Your mind doesn't argue with "already mine" the way it argues with "I want" or "I hope." "Already mine" makes it start looking for proof instead of obstacles. That's why within hours, Sophia's energy shifted. Her actions shifted. The way she spoke to people shifted. Without forcing anything, she started making moves as if she already had the money. She didn't overuse the sentence. She wasn't chanting it 100 times an hour. She used it only when doubt showed up, like a reset button that dropped her right back into the ending she had chosen. She kept calm. That was the surprising part. She didn't run around all day in a state of excitement. She was relaxed, even neutral. And that's something most people misunderstand. They think they have to hype themselves up and keep their emotions sky high, but real assumption doesn't need fireworks. It's the quiet, grounded knowing that this is already true. The reason this worked so quickly was because she skipped the waiting room entirely. She didn't try to manifest. She didn't prepare for it to happen. She declared it done, and once the end was fixed in her mind, everything began to rearrange to match it. Opportunities she would have missed suddenly caught her attention. People reached out without her asking. Money showed up from directions she couldn't have scripted. Neville used to tell the story of a woman who needed money urgently and was told to live in the feeling of having already received it. Within days, it came in ways she couldn't have predicted. Sophia's sentence is the modern, stripped-down version of that exact principle. No rituals, no props, just the pure state of having. And now I want you to do something. Type this in the comments right now. The money is already mine. Write it once, or write it 10 times. Because the moment you write it, you're not just commenting, you're declaring it. you're locking it in. And you're sending a signal to yourself and the universe that you're done waiting. So go ahead, write it below. Let it be your first step into the version of you who has already received. And here's the part you need to hear. This isn't about Sophia. It's about you. For the next 48 hours, you can take this same sentence, decide your specific amount or outcome, and walk through your day from the place where it's already yours. Not on the way. Not almost there. Already yours. When doubt creeps in, use it. Say it silently. Feel it for a moment, then carry on as the version of you who already has it. When you hear a story like Sophia's, it's easy to think it's a rare case. A lucky break, some perfect storm of events that just happened to line up. But that's exactly why I want you to hear this. She's not the only one. I've seen this exact shift happen with people from completely different situations. Take Daniel, for example. He was a freelancer who hadn't landed a new client in over a month. He'd been chasing leads, sending proposals, even lowering his rates. Nothing. One night, he saw this same idea, this same sentence, and instead of begging the universe for work, he said, "The money is already mine," and went to bed. The next morning, a client who had ghosted him for weeks messaged him back, ready to pay in full. And a referral came through that afternoon. Or Maya, a single mom who was facing an overdue rent notice. She told me she'd been so deep in stress she could barely think straight, but she decided to test it. She said the sentence quietly to herself, not with a smile, not with fireworks, just with a sense of finality. 2 days later, she got a call from a company she had applied to months earlier. They not only offered her the job, they paid her a signing bonus that covered the rent, and then some. And then there's Aaron. He didn't even need money urgently, but he wanted to see if the idea worked. He picked a number, $5,000, and repeated the sentence a few times that week. Within 48 hours, his crypto investment, which had been stagnant for months, shot up. He sold at the perfect time without even planning to. He laughed when he told me, "It wasn't even about the money. It was about the way I stopped worrying. And then the money just showed up." 3 people. 3 completely different lives. Same sentence. Same shift from waiting to already having. And if you listen closely, you'll notice they all did something important. They didn't obsess over it. They didn't sit there counting hours. They simply carried the end result in their mind like it was normal. That's where most people sabotage themselves. They say the words, but they secretly check to see if it's working every few minutes. That's not assumption. That's still waiting. Neville Goddard said it perfectly. You do not go to bed hungry and imagine being hungry tomorrow. You go to bed full and let that feeling carry you. So if you've typed "the money is already mine" in the comments, now it's time to go beyond typing. I want you to actually feel what those words mean. Not for 5 seconds, but as the quiet background of your entire day. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to fake excitement. In fact, it works better if you feel neutral, calm, steady, like you're describing something obvious, the way you'd say, "My name is Sarah," or "The sky is blue." That tone, that certainty. If you can hold that for 48 hours, not perfectly, not without a single doubt, but just more often than not, you'll start to notice little shifts. Unexpected messages, random opportunities, money showing up from places you never considered. And I want you to remember something as you hear these stories. These people weren't more lucky than you. They weren't more aligned than you. They simply decided to stop being in the state of waiting, and they used one sentence to keep them there. Because here's the truth. If you can stop waiting, you've already crossed the line into having. And the moment you cross that line, reality rushes to meet you there. So, don't just listen to this like another nice story. Test it, decide your amount, decide your end result, and carry it like it's done. Not like it's coming, like it's here now. So here's where this becomes more than just a story you listen to, I want you to take the next 48 hours and use this exactly the way you've heard it. Not later. Not when life settles down. Right now. Pick an amount or outcome. Don't overthink it. It could be a specific sum of money, an unexpected payment, a job offer, a client, a deal closing. Something you would recognize immediately as a win. And once you've decided, you stop treating it like it's out there somewhere. You start treating it like it's already done. That means the sentence, "The money is already mine," is no longer just words. It becomes the quiet background music of your mind. You don't shout it. You don't beg with it. You don't check every hour to see if it's working. You simply come back to it whenever you feel yourself slipping into lack. Because here's what will happen. The moment you decide it's already yours, your mind starts picking up on things it would have ignored before. You notice conversations you would have dismissed. You see opportunities where you used to see obstacles. And this is not trying to manifest anymore. This is moving through life as someone who has already received. Think about Sophia. Think about Daniel. Think about Maya. They didn't do this for months. They didn't chant for hours. They simply decided, and they held that decision quietly for 2 days. And in that short window, reality bent in their direction. And if you're thinking, but what if nothing happens? That's the wrong question. The real question is, what if something does? Because the truth is, the second you step into the end, things start moving. Sometimes small at first, sometimes all at once. But they move. And if you keep holding the end, they keep moving toward you. So here's the challenge. For the next 48 hours, walk as if you already have it. Let the sentence carry you. Let it reset you every time doubt shows up. And I want you to share your results. Not just with friends. Right here. Come back to this video in 2 days and tell me exactly what happened. But first, type it in the comments right now. The money is already mine. Let this be your public declaration. Let people scrolling past see your name next to those words, because there's power in deciding out loud. And then, when the results start, you'll remember exactly when you crossed the line. You'll remember it was in this moment, watching this video, where you finally stopped waiting and started having. 2 days from now, you could be telling a completely different story about your life. You could be looking at your phone and seeing a deposit you didn't expect. You could be holding a check you never saw coming. You could be reading an email that changes your week, your month, your year. And it won't be because you tried harder. It won't be because you hustled more or worried more. It'll be because you stopped standing at the door hoping for it to open, and you stepped straight into the room where it was already waiting for you. That's what assumption is. That's what Neville Goddard spent years teaching. That reality isn't something you chase. It's something you choose. And the moment you choose it fully, it chooses you back. So, let this be the moment you choose. Let this be the line you never cross back over. You're not becoming wealthy. You're not on your way to abundance. You are already there. The money is already yours. I want you to type it one last time in the comments so it's set in stone. The money is already mine. And as you do, don't just write it. Feel it. Imagine you're signing for it, cashing it, holding it. Make it as real as the chair you're sitting in. And here's the secret. The moment you declare it publicly, you're not just leaving a comment. You're leaving a timestamp in your own life. A record of the exact moment you chose a new reality. And when the results start, you'll look back and remember. This is where it began. If this message lit something inside you, subscribe right now so you don't miss what's coming next. Because we're going even deeper into how to hold this state, and I want you living in this power every single day. Until then, hold the end, refuse to step out of it, and watch what happens when you finally stop waiting. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.